Welcome to Canaan Conversations on the HAA Network. I'm Josh Fisher. I'm joined right now by First Selectman of New Canaan, Rob Mallozzi. We're at the beautiful Waveny Park here in New Canaan. And Mr. Mallozzi is seeking a third term as New Canaan's chief elected official, where he also leads the town's appointed Board of Finance, along with a three-member Board of Selectmen. Since taking office 4 years ago, Rob has overseen a massive town hall renovation and expansion, a post office that finally found a home, police contract arbitration, a reinvigorated New Canaan coalition to combat overdose fatalities, and for the first time since the 2011 Republican Town Caucus, he's facing an opponent for First Selectman in a petitioning candidate, Michael Nowacki. Rob, we're recording this now on Wednesday, October 21st. It's going to appear on ncadvertiser.com and the HAA network. But last night, Tuesday night, the Town Audit Committee said that it was disbanding or ceasing its work.
Suspending was the word they used, yes.
Because of it cannot get control of the town's finances. The audit committee was formed under your administration about 3 years ago, right?
Formed by the town council as an ordinance,
Okay.
but the Board of Selectmen made the appointments to the audit committee,
Right.
and we supported an audit committee, yes.
So what does that say about the town's finances right now if the audit committee says it can't get its work done?
Yeah, I don't know what it says so much about the town's finances or if it's more of a matter of the audit committee getting their hands around the municipal process. These gentlemen and ladies have worked real hard. They've come to us from some of the greatest firms in private practice, Deloitte, name them. They've been heads of these corporations. They've dealt with United Technologies. They've dealt with the Union Carbides and all that. And, the pace of government is a little bit different. And so they have made great recommendations, and we are working on enacting them. But it's a big ship to turn. And when they ask us to do something, we usually have to go for a special appropriation. We never had a audit committee in place, so we don't have a budget for the audit committee. As you probably are aware, and others, we don't have a budget for the town council either. So I think it's a little bit of just getting used to the way that the municipal pace reacts to recommendations and the way the town does. But I'm CEO of the town. I've got very, very competent folks. Tom Stadler, administrative assistant. Dawn Norton, my CFO. We're confident in the way the town's finance run. As you remember, I remade that whole finance department. When I came into office, we had pension funds going out the door without a vote. We had an audit firm in there for 18 straight years. So I look at the kind of things I've brought to the package, the whole picture. I'm pleased, but certainly have concerns about the audit committee's feelings. I've written them, and I'm sure this is a beginning of a further dialogue.
Speaking of finances, the school board wants to spend $18.6 million to expand Sachs Middle School, and they're claiming right now that the school has room for about 1,200 kids. There's over 1,300 kids in the school. Part of the expansion involves the auditorium there. So you, as head of the town's finance board, along with being first selectman, you're not recommending the plan. Why are you against this expansion?
Sure, and you're right. I'm for the auditorium's creation. We've been without an auditorium in that building for almost a year or year and a half. It's incredibly disruptive. I believe when they were talking about building an auditorium, there was some ancillary space they were going to use for music rooms and for other performing arts purposes. I'm encouraging them to use those as flex space until we can determine what the enrollment numbers are going to be. The state of Connecticut is in such a terrible state of economy, and jobs are leaving the area in such a great degree that I'm very worried about the attractiveness of all of Fairfield County, not just New Canaan, to this influx that will sustain the tax base and sustain the enrollment figures that they contemplate. There's an issue at Sachs. None of us have our head in the sands, but the fact is it wasn't brought to our attention until 2013, and only at the magnitude of possibly needing 4 portable classrooms. I don't love portable classrooms, but that was the recommendation. So from 14 to all of a sudden being told to spend 18.6 because you have this issue, I believe it's there, but 5 years to decide on a $900,000 pumper for our fire truck, 3 years to discuss a $67,000 position in our police department to get a 47th man on the force, 7 years to talk about tennis courts over at the high school. We have a process in place. We have a 5-year capital plan. We try to keep on it. We make sure we know where the priorities are. This has kind of jumped ahead of the line. Not saying it shouldn't, but it's going to take a little more time for this first selectman to digest the magnitude of an $18.6 million project.
Do you think the New Canaan School Board has a spending problem?
No, I don't. I think that, quite frankly, they've got a world-class education system that they want to preserve. I don't know how often the buildings themselves translate into that educational dynamic. I've had a lot of emails from folks saying, geez, I wish we put more money in math extra help at our high school and this and that rather than the physical plant. So I don't know what that translation is. I'm not an expert at that. But no, I think that they've been encouraged by the support this first selectman, other first selectmen, town council members, and board of finance members have shown them over the years. And so they don't have a problem asking.
Moving on to something else. Since before you took office, a growing group of residents have been warning about the poor cell phone service here in New Canaan. The town's been prone to widespread power outages from CL&P, now EverSource. And certainly we saw with the last two big hurricanes, Irene and Sandy, caused a lot of problems in town. The cell tower that was talked about for the past 3 years over at Silver Hill Hospital is finally about online.
Yeah.
But what else do you feel like there's been enough done since you took office to improve service here?
No, simple as that. And you know what? That's not something I'm really happy with. But we have a utility commission that is diligent about getting things right. And I've expressed this to others. The cell service is a very complicated issue. We've had 2 private cell service initiatives that the town did not sponsor that have been in the works since 2004, and another one since 2009. That is the cell service enhancements at the Armory by the Merritt Parkway and at Silver Hill. Both of those had nothing to do with the town of New Canaan. We encouraged them, but we weren't pushing them, so to speak, from any official level. Well, the Silver Hill is just coming online. So 2004, 2015, 11 years, and the one at the Merritt Parkway still isn't even close to being consummated. So it's a long, complicated process. The only thing that I regret is I pushed really hard after we had a centerline study presented that showed that if we built something at Waveny Park, we can have an immediate effect and dramatically increase by 40% the cell service on that side of town. And I'm talking about the west side of town. The town council, along with the utility commission, decided that instead of just doing that one project, they wanted to take a holistic approach and look at a comprehensive plan for the whole town. I lost that one. Okay, I lost that one. But you know what? The hearts are in the right place. There's educated and driven folks that are running that, and we do hold their feet to the fire. But it's a very complicated issue, and it's one that I don't have a lot of patience for, but I've learned to have some patience for.
Do you feel like studies like that the town council wants to do, or whether it's maybe delaying the Locust Avenue parking garage and other sorts of things, get in your way as the chief elected official?
That's democracy. I mean, you know, it's when I ran my family business, if I needed 6 pair of Adidas sneakers for the basketball team for Saturday, you better believe I paid anything at Federal Express to get them in. This is a different world, complete different world. So I understand that I wouldn't have taken this job if I was going to be frustrated by the process. The process is the process.
As someone who certainly grew up in a small family business, and as a businessman, what have you learned since you got into government that you thought was easier as a businessman to get done?
I think I just talked about one. The fact is that you can have a direct impact on your business from day one and immediately. But I have to be honest, Josh. I was second selectman in this town for 4 years. I went into this job with my eyes wide open. I ran a campaign that talked about reform. I ran a campaign in 2007 and 2011 talking about making changes. So I'm not disappointed by anything I've seen. I'm actually more encouraged by the quality of our employees in our town. The customer service aspect, the ability to understand and to truly problem solve is one that I don't think I would have taken this position had I not had the support behind me. There's other towns that just don't have the cadre of passionate folks working for the town that want to make a difference.
What's the biggest problem right now facing the town?
The biggest problem is just figuring out the priorities, the spending priorities. We are in I think, a tipping point. I think that the rate of growth in town government, in schools, spend, in capital is unfortunately non-sustainable. As you probably know, when I saw that we had an issue with our own movie theater, our playhouse, the first thing I did was, instead of throwing it on the backs of the taxpayers, I looked for a private and public partnership that would perhaps encapsulate that building and put in the capital investment needed so that it wasn't fully borne on the taxpayers. We've done the same here with the Waveny Park Conservancy, a group that have come in and said, you know what, we know the town is never going to make it a priority to fix the rose gardens or the stone walls, but we want to raise money for you in a partnership and help you do that. So, you know, there's other ways about it, but I am concerned about the sustainability from the tax base because of Connecticut's state of affairs economically, because of the job lack of job growth out there that that we're at a point where we really got to hold things flat.
And what are you most proud of that you've accomplished in the past 2 years?
Getting to see you again, that's nice.
I'm sorry, the bar must be really low. You've had a rough 2 years then.
It's pretty interesting. There's two things. Number one, the relationship I have with Nick Williams and Beth Jones, despite FOIAs and all that, we are as close can be. We are truly good friends. Concerts together, movies together, dinners with each other. It's a small town feel in terms of how much the three of us care about this community. And I didn't experience that in my first experience as second selectman. I wasn't privy to all that was going on. But the interpersonal relationship between the three of us is amazing. But more importantly, 57 new folks, Cubs, that came into town and said, we want to be part of what you're doing, Mr. Mallozzi, Mr. Williams, and Ms. Jones and others. We have 57 new members of boards and commissions that never were involved in town government. And I said this to your editor the other day. The preponderance of social media, a resident that is attacking us all the time and threatening actions, the media outlets that are there, the fact that 57 people still have confidence and have continued confidence in what we're doing and what I'm doing speaks volumes for the health of this community.
Cool. And then a couple quick questions, some maybe fun, maybe not. What's your favorite TV show?
I like Men in Blazers.
I've never even heard of that show.
It's a soccer show. It's a riot. It's a riot. My good friend Joe Scarborough turned me on to it.
What's your favorite band?
I'm a huge Beatles fan. I'll never get away from the Beatles, and then Aerosmith too.
What's your favorite place in New Canaan?
That's a good one. I think the firehouse. I was a firefighter for 9 years. I still love those guys. I have my ear to the ground over there as much as I do any place, and I just love hanging out with the guys. We went to the Bronx for lunch with all the union members 3 Wednesdays ago, and it was like living old times. It's a wonderful group, cadre of volunteers and professionals. I really like that environment.
Cool. And what's Rob Mallozzi doing in November of 2017?
Oh, running again. Yeah. Not even a question.
Thanks, Rob. This has been thank you to First Selectman Rob Mallozzi for joining us here at the beautiful Waveny Park in New Canaan. This has been Connecticut Conversations on the Connecticut Candidate Conversations on the HA Network.